Hi there, I'm Jarvis Johnson, and I'm currently holding office as a Democratic member of the Texas House of Representatives. And today, we're talking about a story that actually happened. What's that? Sorry, it says here we're talking about a YouTube channel called Actually Happened, which I assume is a channel with completely truthful stories. No? What would I know? This is a piece of construction paper. And look, I know I've already talked about this channel, but my parents aren't home, so no one can stop me. I'm actually in LA right now at an Airbnb, so that's why it looks nice. And my tripod is broken, so I've rigged it up with some knives. Let's hope that doesn't end poorly. So a few months back in January, I made a video about Actually Happened where I was mostly just trying to prove that they were misleading their viewers by claiming that their extremely clickbait stories were submitted to them by kids. We have several requirements for our scripts. Believability. Stories ought to sound like they're told by a real teenager and be as close to real life as possible without creating a sense that they're fake. Anyway, my conclusion in all of this was that the only way to fight these channels was to join them, so I made my own fake story animation channel called They Actually Animated My Story. And a lot has happened since then. A lot has actually happened since then. It's still just construction paper. For one, my parody animation channel is doing quite well considering all the stories are original and not ripoffs of any existing works whatsoever. Especially not this one about an orphan wizard named Gary Trotter. And definitely not this one about a boy named Bill whose life got turned upside down, and he'd like to take a moment, just sit right there. He'll tell you how he became the prince of a town called, well, he never names the town. Maybe it's Boston? The channel now has 25,000 subscribers and thousands of views. But the best part is that it's impossible to tell which of the comments are jokes and which are serious. This channel is clearly fake. The narrator is the same for every video. Read more. This is a joke. Okay. You're a ripoff of Actually Happened. And by the way, dabs are like last season losers. It's dead. Guys, I'm 100% sure this channel is a joke. There's no such thing as a teleporter. LMAO, fake. Stole this idea from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And Bill ain't a real guy. You just copied the main character's name from the show, Will, but changed it to Bill. Idiots. Are these jokes? Are they real? Who can be sure? Irony is dead. Oh, and another thing I wanted to talk about before we transition into the main topic of today, which has actually happened, is the channel that we talked about last time, My Story Animated, because they have been up to some poo-poo, some dung, some straight up fecal matter, if I do say so myself. Last week they posted a video that was a bit of a quiz show. They would show you a clip of animation from someone who had interviewed with them for a job, and then you would guess if that person got hired. What? I didn't make this up. They actually posted this to their channel. They're essentially shaming people who applied to work at their stupid company. Now, no pressure or anything, but if you fail this interview, we will have to make fun of you in front of our 600,000 followers. Oh yes, we will be monetizing it, just to make a little extra dough. Now, if you can go ahead and draw a cat for me. Now, they took this video down pretty soon after it went up, but probably because it was doing really poorly, not like they grew a conscience or anything. And that brings us to our old friend Actually Happened, who makes so much clickbait that I didn't even know which stories to pick for this video. But I suppose we could start with, I faked pregnancy to get good grades.
You're about to find out how one spoiled yogurt made me the most popular person in school.
Okay, great.
So my name is Nancy. I am 14 years old and I go to middle school.
This is Nancy. She's 14 and still in middle school. She studies well, but sometimes she runs into difficulties.
I study well, or at least I try to. But sometimes I run into difficulties.
The D is for difficulties. And she has this really important presentation for a topic we're never told and a class she never mentions. But uh-oh, she procrastinated on it.
My final grade in the class totally depended on it, but I procrastinated until the last possible moment.
So she sleeps in because she forgot to set her alarm.
I got up, terrified, and gathered all the printouts for my presentation in a hurry, but it didn't help. I still miss the school bus.
And her mom can't take her to school because of her morning sickness.
You see, my mom is pregnant, She's only in her first trimester, but she's having a hard time with all this morning sickness and constant nausea. I decided not to disturb her and went to see if I could catch a public transport.
If she's not able to find a public transport, perhaps she can use a smartphone-based ride-hailing service. Eventually, she finds a trolley, but she forgot to eat breakfast.
I started to dig into my backpack, trying to find some kind of forgotten cookies.
Forgotten cookies? The fuck?
There were no cookies,
Nice and stale.
but I found a bottle of drinkable yogurt instead.
A bottle of drinkable yogurt was just chilling in her hot-ass backpack? Did she put it there? Because she doesn't seem to recognize it at all.
I might have forgotten it a while ago, but I don't remember when exactly.
Okay, so the yogurt is clearly spoiled, but like, she didn't notice anything off about the taste or the smell or the consistency or anything.
I just drank it.
Also, not to get too deep into yogurt logistics, but if she's drinking a yogurt that's for kids, like Go-Gurt or something, then it's super pasteurized. So it's like really hard to get sick on it, even if it's spoiled. And if it's not that, I still find it hard to believe that this child is really into probiotics, but here we are.
Right in the middle of my presentation.
She somehow makes it to her presentation on time.
But in the middle of the presentation, she gets sick, obviously, and we're introduced to Nancy's friend Angela.
We were supposed to do our presentation together, but Angela is not a very diligent student, so she was not even prepared at all.
You're one to talk. You barely made it to class.
Still, the teacher asked her to go on with the presentation after my inglorious exit.
Is she like the understudy of this group presentation? She wasn't up there before. Angela, I know your partner's in the bathroom vomiting right now, but I'm gonna need you to finish this presentation. Couldn't someone just go ahead of us? Look, I run a tight ship around this classroom.
Angela takes over the presentation, and then Nancy alludes to the fact that she put together her papers in a hurry, and then this happens.
She just blindly and without even thinking started to read aloud with expression what were the best ways to overcome the negative impacts of pregnancy.
You mean to tell me that Angela is so dumb that she accidentally started reading a random WebMD article that was included in the papers?
Our teacher was very, very surprised. Angela was very, very surprised, and the whole class was very, very surprised too.
They're probably just confused that she like switched topics so dramatically. Like one minute she's talking about how bees are dying at an alarming rate, and the next she's talking about pregnancy complications. They make so many leaps at this point in the story that it feels like a giant chunk of it is missing.
So when I came back to class, the teacher somehow quietly gave me an A.
None of this makes any sense. She becomes the most popular girl in school because her friend read an article to the class about morning sickness?
The boys started carrying my bag if it looked heavy. The teachers, too. They made sure I was not getting too tired in their classes, and they gave me good grades.
Like, this whole story is fake, so why also make it incoherent?
It was Angela who helped me understand what was going on. How dare I keep the news of my pregnancy from my best friend? What?
Yeah, what? Angela, no offense, but you just read a WebMD article to the whole class and now you've convinced yourself that I'm pregnant. I maybe understand how other people could have gotten the impression that I'm pregnant, but what's your excuse?
You know, I printed that article about pregnancy and toxicosis for my mother because she asked me to.
You know how printing an article is the most popular way to share it in 2019?
I have no idea how it got in that file with my presentation, but it seemed that now everyone at school thought I was pregnant. Of course, I was shocked.
She really couldn't have put that together?
So then she fakes pregnancy to get good grades. The title isn't clickbait, I guess.
Ah, pickles, the classic mark of a pregnant person. So then the social worker gets involved? Thank God.
The social worker asks if she's pregnant, and she lies because I guess she's a bad person?
This couldn't end badly at all.
I kept a poker face and replied that everything was fine, and I did not understand what she was talking about.
And she calls the mom, but would you guess the mom still has her morning sickness? Silly pregnancy.
My mom? She just asked shockingly, "What? Nancy's pregnant too?"
Look, I don't care how nauseous you are. No one would respond like this.
That same day, she paid us a visit, bringing along a couple of policemen.
What did she think was happening?
But there was no crime in action at our house.
There's no crime in action here, officer. You can move along. Yes, ma'am.
The only criminal was me.
No, I think you're good, actually.
And what happens to Nancy for defrauding the whole school?
I was lucky that my lies did not have any consequences.
Wow, nice. No consequences. What a great lesson. This next video of theirs is called Well, it's had 3 titles so far. First it was called I Was Trapped in a House with 5 Burglars. Then it was called I Risked My Life to Save My Neighbors, but it didn't help. It is currently called I Thought I Was Smarter Than Burglars, but then I got trapped. And all of those titles are lies.
Hello guys, my name is Carla. I'm 14 years old, and now I want to tell you a detective story which happened to me for real.
We'll see about that.
I was born in America, but my family comes from Mexico.
That was neither of the places I was expecting.
This is the part where they give a bunch of unnecessary exposition, but just know that Carla's a dog walker and she doesn't have her phone because her dress doesn't have pockets.
So I thought that I'd just leave my phone at Kelly's owner's house, which turned out to be the wrong decision.
This reminds me of horror movies where they have to get rid of everybody's cell phone so that people can't do the obvious thing. Anyway, on this fateful day, Carla's about to pass Mr. and Mrs. Ward's house, but something is wrong.
They were supposed to be on vacation, but their door wasn't shut properly and their curtains were closed. I got closer to see if their cars were there, but they weren't. Now there was no doubt in my mind somebody had broken into their house. What was I supposed to do now?
Just go back and call the police.
I couldn't call the police,
Yeah, you can.
and I couldn't let the thieves rob the house.
No, you can absolutely do that. They've already stolen the cars, which are the most valuable thing in the house anyway.
Kelly could bark at any moment. I didn't have my phone, but there had to be a phone inside, so I came up with a crazy idea.
Don't go inside, Carla. The burglars are inside. What are you going to do? Call 911 from inside the house? Oh, that's exactly what she's going to do, isn't it?
Started humming a song and walked into the yard, and I cried out, "Mrs. Ward! Mr. Ward! Are you back? It's me!"
It's me, docile Carla, who wouldn't hurt a fly, or a burglar for that matter.
I still kept on pretending that I was looking for Mr. and Mrs. Ward, so that the thieves didn't suspect too much trouble from me.
That's not the problem, Carla. The thieves aren't just oh, she's only looking for the people that we're robbing, so let's keep stealing shit.
Yes, there was a phone on the table. I grabbed it and pressed a button. Can you believe it? The line was dead.
Can you believe it? The thieves cut the line. It's almost like organized criminals think of more stuff than me, a 14-year-old.
I didn't have any time to work out a plan B.
I've got a plan B for you. Maybe leave the place with a team of burglars.
All of a sudden, I saw a mobile phone on the side table. Mr. Ward must have forgotten it.
That was their one mistake. Cars? Stolen. Phone line? Cut it. How about that smartphone that's just sitting there out in the open? Was I supposed to take that?
That was my chance. I decided to not call the police so that the thieves could not understand what I was saying.
What?
I found my mother's number on Mr. Ward's phone and called her. I asked her to call the police in Spanish.
The thieves will never decipher call the police in Spanish, because in Spanish, police is la policia.
Carla finally realizes that the thieves probably noticed her taking a phone call out in the open, so she decides to leave, but what's this?
I was ready to book it out the door, but then I realized that the guys upstairs were thinking about doing the same thing.
Yeah, but you're right next to the door, so I think you got this. So she tries to leave, but she foolishly tied the dog to the railing and can't get the knot undone. Then one of the criminals starts walking down the stairs, and the dog magically breaks free from the leash and starts rushing at the criminal, and then just in the nick of plot, the police arrive.
So the day is saved, but in an unexpected move, Carla's mom is disappointed.
If only you knew how she scolded me afterwards. But yeah, that's my mum.
No, that's pretty much anybody after hearing your ridiculous story.
Mr. and Mrs. Ward were shocked when they found out what had happened. You never expect these kind of stories when you come back from vacation.
No, it's kind of a common thing, actually. You should watch the other videos on this channel called Actually Happened, where people get their houses robbed while they're on vacation.
Mrs. Ward said I'd been a very brave girl, but the deed itself was pretty stupid. Everything could have ended differently. I thought about it later and came to the conclusion that her words made sense.
After a lot of deep reflection, I came to the conclusion that a 14-year-old girl is not equipped to take on a gang of thieves. The more you know.
It was an unnecessary risk to get into the house with, as it turned out, 5 thieves.
What were 5 thieves doing in that house after they already stole 2 cars? What else was there to steal? I'm kind of mystified at how these channels magically manufacture this clickbait that they then never deliver on. And I think I figured out how to do it. Okay, so basically all these channels use the same kind of clickbait. For starters, it has to be in first person because you're a kid. So it's got to start with I or my or whatever. Then you've got to decide if this happened to you directly or your mom, your dad, or your crush, because everyone has a crush. Then you got to have something bad happen, for clickbait. Whenever they do talk about good things, those videos do pretty well. So I don't know why they keep going in such a negative direction, but here we are. So you got to talk about death or crime, betrayal, or some sort of emotional manipulation. Sometimes you had a couple, like with My Friend Almost Died, after betraying me. Honestly, it feels like you could teach an AI to generate believable, actually happened video titles. So I did. But let me throw it over to old Jarvis. Thanks, new Jarvis. So I got the title of every single actually happened video, and then I used this statistical modeling technique called markup chains to generate new actually happened titles that don't exist based on the ones that do. Essentially, you just look at all the words in the titles and you try to figure out which word is likely to come after a given word. It's very similar to how text suggestions work on your phone. For example, if you look at all the actually happened videos that start with the word my, it's very common for the next word to be mom or dad or parents. And then you do that for every single word in all of the titles. And now I have a program that can make titles that sound like actually happened titles. My dad became an Instagram star overnight. Back to you, new Jarvis. Thanks, old Jarvis. I'm so dumb. I have made a website called animatedstorytitles.com that you can go to and generate these titles for yourself. Some of them are really dark, but I guess the actually happened stories are really dark too, so it works out. I almost drowned and lost all my money in a card game. My girlfriend is a grandma. I had a fake boyfriend, but he taught me something. My dad's last gift went missing, and it killed our family. I spent way too much time on this, so I hope you enjoy it. And if you find any good titles, please send them to me on Twitter or Instagram at Jarvis, because I'm 8 years old and they still make me laugh. I'm depressed, but my friends think I'm a vegetarian. And my dad went crazy. That was fun. Okay, now let's get into the last video, which is called My Friends Think I'm Dead. And it's about a kid who has to go into witness protection because his dad did some sort of unnamed crime. There's not many details in this story at all. And we'll see soon that it kind of encapsulates everything that's wrong with this channel.
Hi, everyone. I know I have to introduce myself here first, but unfortunately I can't. You'll learn why in the next few minutes.
Dude, just make a fake name. It's like literally everyone on this channel does that.
There are plenty of details in this story that will have to remain secret for safety reasons.
But I figured why not share it with millions of people?
But it's all been so hard over the last few weeks that I just need to get it off my chest.
So this story is actually pretty boring because there's basically no details, but he used to be a normal kid, but now he's not.
I've always known that my dad had something to do with finance, so I didn't get too suspicious when a couple of men in suits appeared at our house. But it was hard not to notice that something was wrong when the next time they came, they took my dad with them.
It was hard not to notice something was wrong when my dad was abducted.
I'm sorry, I can't get into details.
Look, man, we get it. You choose the details of the story. You don't have to keep telling us about what you're leaving out.
But the story was that my dad was involved in a crime. He was now a witness, and apparently he was in danger. I never asked about who these people were that could put us in danger because I didn't really want to know that much about what my dad was up to.
Bullcrap. Son, unfortunately, we have to change our identities and leave town because I have powerful enemies who might try to kill us. No questions here. So they go into the witness protection program.
Imagine how shocked I was to learn one morning that I had to pack my things, only the essentials, because we were leaving that same night. I guess the officials advised my parents to not tell me anything in case I wouldn't be able to keep it a secret.
Judging by the fact that the story exists, good move. So they moved to another town and changed their identities.
And this is how they depict that move. It's a work of art.
We were allowed to keep our first names, but we got a new last name. It took me several weeks to get used to my new last name, and a couple of times I almost said the old one out loud in class.
When do you even say your last name in class? All right, let's see. Let's start with the J's today. Jarvis? Is there a Jarvis here? Johnson? I mean DiCaprio. So they say that due to witness protection, his whole family had to fake their death, which I looked into it, and that's not a thing in the witness protection program. You just change your last name and you move to a new city.
The danger was so serious. Everyone in our hometown had to think we were dead.
Yeah, not a thing.
A little later, I learned that there was even a news story about the three of us dying in a car crash. That meant a lot of things.
It mostly meant that this story is fake.
That was the first time I was glad I never had grandmas or grandpas. We only had a couple of distant relatives who wouldn't notice if we lost touch.
What an overt way to cover up a plot hole. Anyway, this story is dumb. After this video, it made me think wow, these stories are so similar and they all have the same structure. I wonder if I can teach an algorithm to to write a script to a whole actually happened story, like I made a thing for titles? And the answer to that is no. So I downloaded all the subtitle files for actually happened videos, and I fed them into this very sophisticated language model called GPT-2. And I trained it on those files and tried to use it to generate like actually happened scripts. And these are just a couple of the ones that I got back. But most of these are in a Twitter thread of mine that I can also link. I have to work to survive after my dad lost all his friends. Hi, my name is Claire, and I was born 6 months ago. Hi, I'm Nancy, and I must confess. I was found guilty by the entire community, and I wish I could tell everyone the same. But first, a prologue. Turns out I can't, so I just wrote one the old-fashioned way.
Hi, my name is Learton. Funny name, I know. I'm 13 years old. And my story is, well, I'll just let you make up your own mind about it. It's just that, well, it turns out that my dearest friends in the world apparently can't trust me. I've always been a bit of a private kid. I was an only child, and I was also homeschooled, so I didn't have many opportunities to meet kids in the real world. So instead, I spent a lot of time online. I loved the internet. It was amazing. I could communicate instantly with other kids my age about anything. Cartoons, toys, whatever I was into at the time, and it let me build real relationships with people since my parents were always away at work. I guess you could say the internet raised me more than my parents did. Most of my friends I met playing online games, and my favorite game is this one called Run Escape. It's a labor simulator where you just cut trees and fish all day, but it's weirdly really fun. Anyway, everything was all fun and games until the day my entire life was completely ruined. It started like any normal day. I woke up, hopped online, and one of my longtime internet friends, N-word Sayer 69, asked me, Learton, how do I know you're a real person? I only know you online, so you could be lying about who you really are. Maybe you're not a kid like me. Maybe you're an artificial intelligence, or an old man, or worse, a 26-year-old YouTuber trying to make a point. He was right.
I am a 26-year-old YouTuber trying to make a point.
Just kidding. I'm totally a relatable kid. I explained this to my buddy, and he was like, oh, right, what was I thinking? Then he sent me his bank routing and account number like I asked, and we got back to our favorite labor simulator, MMORPG. The moral of the story is, the internet is really dumb because you can say basically anything, and a lot of people believe you, and you shouldn't always believe them unless they're pretending to be a kid. I mean, they are a kid, like me. I am a kid 100%.
So after making a bunch of videos about these animated stories and watching hours upon hours of them, I hate it now. So I'm not going to do it anymore. I know that there are a bunch more animation stories. I know about minute videos. I know about Share My Story. Are they real? Are they fake? I don't care. The world may never know. Just be dubious of anything that purports to be real on the internet. That's the moral here. And now the video's over. Thanks to Block A Hiei Man for following me on Twitter. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. If you want me to butcher your name, follow me on Instagram or Twitter. It's all I want.